show where we talk about all things pop culture and what we're into right now. I'm Josh.
I'm AJ.
And here we are to talk about Prey. But first, what's up, AJ?
Not much, man. How are you?
Doing all right. Tired, but I'm here for the people.
I appreciate it, man. We here in Texas, we've gone from melting alive to now needing a life raft. It's like flooding down here, man. It's crazy.
Do you guys get a hurricane yet?
Not yet, but it's a brewing. It's a brewing right now. We're just getting some areas in Texas, like Dallas and like San Antonio. They got like a foot of rain.
What?
So, yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That's insane.
Hey, we just traded one hell for another. That's all it is.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Speaking of craziness, the streaming wars continue.
My favorite battle.
Your favorite. Your favorite and Alex's favorite show. Released. She-Hulk.
Oh yeah. Woo. I was so excited. No, I didn't even watch it yet. I kind of forgot about it.
Or I think your tag was your sing-song single female lawyer.
Single female lawyer. That's a Futurama joke if anyone likes Futurama. Okay. Yeah, they're making fun of I think it's Ally McBeal. So yeah, it's pretty funny.
That came out. I watched the first episode. It was entertaining. House of the Dragon just came out.
It
was pretty entertaining.
Talk about that. I don't know whether we'll do all of those shows, but I can tell you something about She-Hulk that I think if they just lean on the comedy side and break away from MCU-ifying the show, like not everything has to feed into the MCU beast.
Preach.
So if they could if they just got to be okay. Sometimes She-Hulk can just be a show, on its own.
You can take something like pre-existing IP and put your own spin on it.
Yeah, it doesn't have to feed into the beast. That's all I'm saying.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And like that kind of brings us to our main topic of discussion, Prey.
Yeah.
Which, for those of you who don't know, this is a Predator movie, like Arnold Schwarzenegger Predator, like the alien that hunts people.
Yeah. For the record, I think the first time I saw the trailer for it, I was like, "Oh, this looks like Apocalypto." I don't know if you remember that. It's a Mel Gibson movie.
Awesome movie, but zero accuracy.
No,
Mel Gibson does not care about historical accuracy at all.
So to his defense, I didn't think Apocalypto was meant to be like a historically accurate movie. I never got that sense. I just thought it was more like an action film set in that time period. Because I didn't really think that it was ever trying to say like this happened. You know what I'm saying? Like some of his other movies.
Like,
so yeah.
God, yeah. Cough, cough. The Patriot. Cough, cough. Allegedly, cough.
Yeah, but like
there makes great movies, but or Braveheart.
Braveheart,
dude. Great movie, but zero accuracy, dude.
Right. So Apocalypto, if no one's ever seen it, it's really good. It is in. Now that's the thing. I don't know what language that is, so. It's supposed to be
it's like some Mesoamerican, Aztec, Mayan type of thing.
Yeah. So I don't even know if that's a real.
Those are my people.
But I don't know if that's a real language. Like, who speaks that? I don't know. That's fascinating.
There's actually, I don't know that one specifically, but like there are a lot of pockets where like people speak these indigenous languages.
Oh,
not
okay,
Spanish.
okay.
Like in Mexico, Guatemala.
Yeah, it's not. For sure, it's not Spanish. Yeah.
My stepbrother has an uncle who speaks like one of those languages. Like I one of my dad's relatives, like I know they speak it or something. So.
Okay. Yeah, I just wasn't sure if they like did Mel Gibson it and just make it up, but no, it's a really good movie. Yeah, before they got colonized. No, it's a good movie, and I thought when I saw the trailer, it reminded me a lot of that. And then at the end of the trailer, you hear the little Predator clicks. I'm like, yo, what? I was like, that's crazy. That's actually a really good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it. Yeah.
I was in the same boat where I was like, oh, cool, like Native American movie, getting to like see, what they were up to back then. And I was like, oh, Predator. And for those of you who don't know, some people have never seen it. Predator was a movie that came out in the 80s, action movie. And it's about this alien, a species of aliens that will go to different planets. And for some reason, they keep coming to Earth. to hunt. They're
Yeah.
a warrior culture, hunting culture. They want to prove they're the best. They want to go after the apex predators of whatever planet. So that's kind of their whole deal.
Mm.
But like that brings me to something that I thought was so interesting. Personally, I don't think I saw a lot of promotion for this movie aside from like YouTube trailers. I don't know
I
about you.
mean, there really wasn't. Like I said, I saw the trailer for it. Oh boy, when the Batman movie came
It was
out.
months ago. Yeah.
Yeah, when the Batman movie came out, that was really the only. That was really the only like trailer I saw for it. I remember thinking like, okay, that could work because at its core, I think what the like before I even watched this movie, my thoughts were kind of just. I feel like the Predator is used too much in like the from what I can remember. Mind you, I've watched two Predator movies a very long time ago. I think the second time, the one with the one that came out more recently, I can barely remember any scene from it. But from the impressions I get from what I can remember, a lot of this is modern technology versus this primitive creature. Primitive in the sense of they're fighting in this jungle arena type of thing, and it just never had the right feel for it, and I couldn't put my finger on as to like why until I saw the trailer. I was like, oh, because the playing field is leveled now. Like now it's truly leveled now, right? Like the Predator is legitimately a predator, whereas like in these other movies, you got these like big muscle bound people with their guns and stuff like that. Like it's not super leveled. You know what I'm saying? Like It's more like one guy knows how to fight much better than the other one, but the other one's also got like, a magnum or something. Like it's just not a super level fight where this is like legitimately like, oh, this is actual a predator, like in the true sense. You know what I mean? So I think that's why when I saw the trailer, I was like, this is cool.
It's a fresh take.
Yeah,
like we've seen a lot of renditions of the Predator, books, comic books, movies. The Predator was in one of the Ghost Recon games.
Yeah, which I played, and it was actually really cool. And it made me really mad because it was really hard and it was really short. That was probably the most aggravating part about that. I'm like, they should have just made this a DLC. That would have been amazing.
Yeah,
that would have been so cool. I would have played that. I forgot about that. That's a good point.
Yeah, but there wasn't a lot of promo, but we'll get into it in a second. But going into the production of the film, it's from Hulu, so kind of cool. Not traditional theatrical release. Pros and cons to that. Other really cool thing, it's a largely Native American / First Nations cast.
Yeah,
which you don't get that many films like that. Which, considering like America, the United States dominates the film industry. It's like sadly ironic that Native people don't have a strong representation in that.
Yeah.
And this could be my ignorance. I don't know, but didn't recognize any major names like attached to this as far as like actors. I don't know about you.
I mean, I honestly couldn't, and that's not to disparage anyone who's in the movie. I just wasn't sure. I couldn't recognize anyone, but I like that. I was actually just talking to a friend today that like movie studios don't really do that anymore. They're so afraid. For those who don't know, a lot of these studios use like an algorithm to build their cast, right? So that's how you get something like Chris Pratt and Jack Black
and everything.
Chris Pratt and Jack Black specifically being in the Super Mario movie that's coming out. And Seth Rogen, like it's compiled by an algorithm. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure that these big studios for these like big budget films, they don't even like do casting anymore. You know what I mean? They just like they ask Chris, like, Chris, are you free from September to November? And he's like, yeah. I'm sure that's what the process is now. So it was kind of cool to see that. Kind of cool to see a lot of these actors and actresses who I personally have never seen in any other context. And not only are they in a movie, a relatively big budget movie, but it's a movie where they get to pay so much homage to their heritage, which is cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
I mean, I say this all the time. Like, I think representation matters. Don't care how that makes me sound. I think it's important and I love it. One of the producers, Jane Myers, she is from the Comanche Nation and the Blackfoot. And so she wanted to make sure that cultural aspect played an important role in this. And something really cool, I did a little digging. They actually ran an internship program on the production that brought in young Native Americans to experience what a movie production is like.
That's pretty cool.
So cool. So cool.
Yeah. I also think that the actress who played Naru has a really cool real life name. It's Amber Midthunder. That's a pretty badass name. Not gonna lie,
yeah,
that's right? Pretty cool.
Yeah, well, everyone's name is like cool.
Yeah. But I'm like Midthunder. I was like, that's a cool name. Yeah. I mean, that's let's stop beating around the bush. Let's get into it, right?
Yeah. Let's get into this. Amber Midthunder plays a character named Naru. Yeah. She's an 18th century Comanche, and she wants to become a warrior. And she, like a hunter warrior, and she wants to go through this rite of passage. I'm going to butcher this. Kutamia. I know I said that wrong.
I'm pretty sure you did. Yeah.
Somebody correct me if you know it out there. Basically, she needs to go hunt something big.
Yeah.
And then she'll become, she'll like have this status in her culture, which it's, I don't know. There's like a whole like rabbit trail I could go into where a lot of modern cultures nowadays, like we don't have those rites of passage. And so it's cool to like see that portrayed in this.
Yeah.
And my take about her is she has the drive and the tenacity, but her skill set isn't 100% there. That was like my take, like when we first get introduced to her.
Okay, I just felt like I guess I could agree with that. I've kind of felt that she had the skill set, she just didn't have the experience. That was more along the lines of what I looked at. Like she has the raw abilities and
she has the potential,
the capability. But like for example, like early in the movie, she's trying to go on her hunt. She knows how to like look for things, but necessarily isn't able to like understand what she's looking at. And I thought that was like a sign of like, between them hunting the lion and then later the bear, I thought that was very emblematic of like the lack of experience, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And like, again, speaks to my ignorance about this. I probably learned this in school at some point. Mm-hmm. I don't know in the Comanche culture, like how much women play a role in the hunting and the war aspects. And so at least in this interpretation, it's like the men, including her brother, Tabe, or however, I can't remember how to pronounce his name. Mm-hmm. They kind of humor her and like they'll let her do things, but like you said, like she doesn't have the experience because they're not like, hey, let's go hunting. She's not like actively being brought into this. Yeah, she's very much, it seems, self-taught, which I think is a credit to, again, her tenacity and the fact that she has a lot of potential.
Yeah, I mean, I also really liked how, I think it's very easy for a plot like this to kind of lean into this whole, well, you're a woman, that kind of thing. And while thematically, I guess you can say that is something that's layered on top of the conversation, practically, they didn't, I guess you can say, include her simply because she's kind of young. I think that was the other half of that conversation, because there wasn't anyone really her age trying to do a hunt, right? Like she's too ambitious, she's too eager. I mean, I thought that was one of the other kind of said but unsaid things. And I thought like the scene, if you want to like just talk about it, just get into a little bit more. I think the scene that really spoke to that was when we first meet Tabe, and they, she's trying to shoot down the, I think it's a hawk that was carrying a fish.
Yeah, red-tailed hawk.
And she's looking at it and she's trying to like line it up. She's trying to line up the shot. And Tabe is like, just literally half-assed, just like shoots it and shoots it down. Now, from her perspective, she's like, well, now you didn't shoot it in a place where you have to go get it. Like now you have to go through the water.
Yeah.
But Tabe's point of view is like, but I got it. Like, I could sit here waiting all day for it, but I got it. And so like, I thought that was a really good way to like show and not tell like where these two characters are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a great point. And that comes up again later where like she has the even though she's young and has like the impulsivity of youth, not that I'm that old either, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She also understands like the importance of being patient when it comes to a hunt.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is a separate skill. And you know, diving into the plot a little bit more, we talked about Tabe, how he goes on these hunts, and he's looking for what he thinks is a mountain lion,
Mountain lion. Yeah.
and you know, this tribe of people, they're out there, and the Comanche Nation. It was like groups of tribes. It wasn't like
Yeah.
one collective thing. And so, you know, this particular tribe, they're out there on their own, and Tabe and his friends and relatives or whoever, like they need to protect the tribe. Like there's a mountain lion, they needed to go take care of it. But Naru thinks it's something else. She picks
Mm-hmm.
up on things other people don't,
Mm-hmm.
and she also sees a sign in the sky, which is very
Mm-hmm.
interesting. Like in her culture, she calls it something. I don't know if you recall what it was.
I don't. She said it in their language, but essentially, she takes the predator ship. She takes that as like a sign from the gods that it's time for her to do her hunt, because she's the only one who saw it crash land, which we'll get into later. But yeah, I don't remember what it was called.
Well, and actually, now that you bring that up, I really wish the entire movie would have been in Comanche.
Yeah, that would have been cool. But I also
like,
think it was kind of meant to show you how intelligent not just she is, but their whole tribe is. But specifically for her, I thought that was intentional, and we can get into a little bit why I think that was intentional, because I thought it was weird that they flowed weirdly into like Comanche and English.
Yeah,
but
and like to that point, like a film like Parasite won best picture. It was a foreign language film, and so I feel like you could have done that with this. Like it's been done. Or Mel Gibson did it with Passion of the Christ. Like it's been done with like big movies that were successful.
Movies. Yeah,
it's been done. It would have been cool to showcase that, but you know, nothing's perfect.
Nothing's perfect. Yeah, it happens.
But and as you said, yeah. So she sees the sign, and it's a predator, which apparently I guess was called a feral predator. I have no idea what that means.
Okay, so here's the thing. Like I said, if we have Predator fans, I'm so sorry. Okay, Predator movies.
I'm not.
I gotta be honest with you. They're kind of cheeks. This is the first one I actually enjoyed a lot, but I think this one looked different than other Predators. Like this Predator did not look as metallic. I guess that's the best way. It looked very primal. Which
makes sense.
Which is because, okay, now I don't know how much you know about Predator, and again, I'm so sorry. I'm going to try to be as broad as possible because it's just been so long. From my understanding, there is this really cool dichotomy between the Native Americans and the Predators, right? Because from what I can remember, like I think Predators get sent out into the world, into the universe from their planet to essentially verify. It's like their version of the Comanche hunt, if that makes any sense. Like they are sent off world to essentially prove that they are the apex predator. So when they come back, I think that's why they collect body parts and stuff like that. Because when they come back, you know, like it's like their proof, that kind of thing. So that's why, you know, in the movie, the predator is seen fighting, fighting the humans, fighting the bear, or the wolf. It's looking for that thing to so it knows like, okay, I am top dog and I can go back. So I thought that was such a cool like comparison, because you know what I mean? Because it's like they're both doing their hunt, if that makes any sense, which is cool.
Oh, you're right. And, like, that did not, like, it's almost too obvious that like they're doing the same thing. It didn't click with me until you said it just now. Like they're trying to prove it's the same thing. Like the Comanche, like they're trying to prove like I am top dog. Like I am the apex predator.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a rite of passage. So I'm not. That's as deep as I'm going to go because there's so much to it that I'm sure. But just like aesthetically, you know, there's a lot of similarities too between the way the predators look. I mean, the predators literally look like they're wearing a headdress, right? So like, I think it's really emblematic of like, you know, they are just natural predators. And I think I took it as like the movie's question is really asking, well, who's the prey? Who's really the prey? And so like I mean, we can keep moving along, but that was just like a good mirror that I saw between the two protagonist and antagonist, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah, and like I get I suspect that not a lot of people have seen this yet. So like I'm not going to go too deeply into the plot because I want our listeners to check it out. I think it's a movie worth checking out. Just like two things come to mind. How like this Predator is not as advanced as the ones we have seen in the other films, which makes sense. This is like 300 years, like 300 years before the other Predator. Yeah, 200. Sorry, before the other Predator movie. So like it makes sense that technology would be different. The cloaking is like not as strong as it is in the other movies.
Yeah.
But like what was really cool about this film is like it's layered in tackling genres in a different way, where you have the quote unquote man versus wild.
Yeah.
Like the Comanche lifestyle, like it is man versus wild. Like these people are tough to survive. I mean, North America is a beautiful place. It's really great. Well, like, it is dangerous out there, man. If you're out in the wilderness.
It reminded me of because this movie took place in the Great Plains, and so like it reminded me a lot of when I went to Yellowstone. I underestimated how big Yellowstone was. I thought like going to Disney World, right? It's like a third of the state of Wyoming. So it's like it's a big ass park, and when you get there, you're kind of just told like, hey man, like we got rangers, but they're not here to like really defend you. You gotta be on your P's and Q's about like where you are. And when you get out there, like you're hiking in these like plains and fields, you're by yourself. There's no like if a bear or a bison or whatever approached you out there, like it's just you. It's just you in nature. And I think that's a concept I severely underestimated until we were 30 minutes into a hike. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm looking around. I'm like, there's not a soul. There's not a soul out here. I got no reception. I have no weapons on me except this bear mace. I'm like, this is wild that people 200-300 years ago were like, this is just Thursday for me. You know what I mean? Like it's real. So if you've ever been in those kind of scenarios, like this movie does a really good job of like showing you like how built the Comanches are for this lifestyle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then on the flip side, like the Predator's also experiencing that. Like it's in a weird way, it's like man versus wild for the Predator, where he's like intentionally seeking out these conflicts. And then, and then so you have the man versus nature, like story type, but then you also have like the sci-fi story blended together, which I think is a pretty cool thing.
Yeah. I thought the sci-fi part was so clever because they never explain it. The movie doesn't try to teach you like the Predator's actually blah 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 from planet blah. Like it doesn't ever go into that. So to the audience, it's just as foreign as a concept as the main character. Main character doesn't really understand what's going on, so she's having to probe like you would actually when you're hunting something, like trying to learn habits, trying to understand what's happening to a creature or whatever. Like she's trying to understand what's going on at a level that I think is very emblematic of why the Predator feels like a natural, in a weird way, why it feels like a natural enemy in this film, right? Because it's not being presented as like a totally foreign concept, because we're all trying to figure out what's going on too with the main character.
And Naru, like she, like you see her hunter instinct kick in, and again, then you do have the question like, who's the prey here? Because no surprise, the Predator, it starts to target the Comanche, and Naru throws herself in between that and wants to protect her people and prove that she's able to complete this rite of passage. And so she, she's trying to like hunt down this thing. She runs into the French, which that was like an interesting thing that people probably casual viewers might not be aware of and understand that the French were in North America.
Well, they occupied basically most of if I can remember my American history, basically what majority of America is today, right? I mean, like that was part of what ended up being like the Louisiana Purchase, I believe. So it made sense that they were there. And I also thought that the way they were introduced was really clever, because if you've ever seen a Predator movie, the first time we see any signs that there's other danger is Naru's hunting and her dog, which I can't remember the dog's name, but her dog. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry gets caught in a trap. And the first thing I said, I was like, "That's not a predator trap." And I'm like, "Oh,
yep.
yeah." So that's our first sign that like, and I thought that was the other thing that the movie did very well. That like, in the wilderness, there are many things that can kill you, right? Like there are many things that can kill you. And so what was very clever is that the predator is not the only threat to the Comanche in this movie. Yep. I would actually argue the predator was a lesser threat than the more imminent threat that they are about to be colonized, right? So it's doing, you know what this movie like kind of reminded me of? It reminded me why I enjoyed like earlier Assassin's Creed games so much, because like it took like real world history and added these sci-fi components that I thought worked really well, and I thought this movie did that really well. I guess we're not going to talk about the ending, so I won't spoil too much. But I just thought that the way the French is introduced really sets up more movies that don't technically have to deal with the predator, which is kind of cool when you think about that. Like that's kind of a unique way to do like to build a series, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Like there's a lot here.
Yeah,
there's a lot of possibilities. But yeah, no. Overall, like I really loved seeing, like we talked about, like how tough the Comanche were, and we see how Naru is like such a tenacious, intelligent, and competent character. Like I love seeing a character that is in like a survival situation and they're competent.
Yeah,
like, they're not panicking. They're not doing something dumb. She makes mistakes, but they're like, they're like normal mistakes. It's not like she like trips over her own feet running from the monster type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I loved about this movie more than any other Predator movie I've watched was all the other Predator movies, from what I can remember, are these muscle. It's like the Gears of War. These giant muscle-bound men and women, whatever, these meatheads, and it's like it's muscle versus muscle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think what was so interesting about this is that this is a more fitting, like Naru is a more fitting antagonist from the Predator's perspective, because she's not trying to fight him with muscle, right?
Yes.
And I thought the biggest, like, again, I tell you guys this all the time. Show me, don't tell me, right? Mm. So I thought the best scene in the movie is when Tabe and Naru are both fighting the Predator, which badass scene to begin with.
Cool.
Because the first thing I said, I was like, yo, these people are fearless. Absolutely fearless. I can't remember, but I don't remember somebody literally going toe to toe in hand to hand combat with the Predator. Okay. It was single-handedly probably my favorite Predator moment. But it was really badass. But, knowing what happens at the end of that fight, it makes sense where they bring the movie with Naru's character, because it's trying to show you that like brute force takes you so far, right? And I thought, though I brought up like the beginning scene when Tabe is like trying to show Naru like, killing the bird. It wasn't about being impulsive. It's about learning when to strike. And I think that's the lesson that Naru learned throughout the movie. And I thought that's what worked for me. It really did. It really worked for me. I did not think I was going to like this movie as much as I did. I came with zero expectations, but I actually enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed it a lot.
And I know neither of us are big Predator fans. Did you understand the significance of a certain flintlock pistol or whatever kind of pistol it is?
No, I figured it had some meaning because it was there a lot. So I'm like, okay, yeah.
So that pistol shows up in Predator 2.
Oh, really?
Which brings into question, like, how did the Predators get it?
So
like a hold of it?
I wish we were talking about the actual story, because there is a very, I think, intentional plot hole that is left absolutely wide open. And maybe people who know more of the Predator story like already know the correlation. But did you catch how they tied at least in my opinion, how they probably are going to tie this movie with other Predator movies?
I don't know actually.
So so I thought something that this movie did was being really self-contained, right? It kept the story relating to, Naru and her quest, the Predator and his quest, and the French. But we never see the Predator ship.
Well, that's not true.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, it does leave that door open for more danger. And I thought, like, that's a very clever way to, like, link the future Predator movies, because it's like, it's not over. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Did you watch the credits?
I think I stepped away in the bathroom, so I'm sure
there's something to indicate a furthering of the story.
Well, that's what I figured. Because I'm just talking about the actual theatrical cut of the movie. It's never addressed, right? So I think, if there is an end credit, that's cool. But
no, it's not an end credit. They actually use the actual credits to they kind of summarize the story in the credits, like in like drawings.
Yeah,
and then at the end there's something else that kind of hints there is more to this story.
See, and that's what I like. I like that. I like that the movie's self-contained. It does a good job of, like, just being about this specific story. What would you give it?
What would I give this? Dude, I give it 2 thumbs up. We don't have a rating system. We still need to figure that out.
We still need to get that out.
I really enjoyed this movie. I loved, seeing the Comanches have their time to shine. We have a mutual friend, Tyler, who lives in Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. And he was saying, like, that this movie is really big there. There's a lot of Comanche.
I'm not surprised.
So, like, this has to be a really proud moment for them too. Like,
hey, I'm proud for them. That was, I mean, again, watch the movie, but I just thought that it was just well done. I'm gonna use, I'm gonna use like a 1-bite system, 1 through 10. I'm gonna give this movie an 8 too. I enjoyed it a lot. It was really good. It's 90 minutes. I didn't really feel, and this is a rare compliment for me here. Okay, there was no point of this movie that dragged, and that is a rare compliment, because even movies that I love have these low moments, but the pacing in this movie is just it's thought out. So I hope, future movies keep these types of things in mind, just keeping it contained. You don't have to go big all the time. You know what I mean? You don't have to go, Marvel, 23 movies down the road. Don't need Irishman. It can keep it contained, and they do so much in this movie and don't answer enough at the same time. So I'm like, I'm here for this. If we do Predator like this, I'm here for it.
Same. I would rewatch this movie. So I think that is all I need to say about that.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. This was a very rewatchable movie. So I was surprised. I liked it. My wife liked it. I'm here for this line of Predator. Don't let whoever directs the other Predator movies anywhere near this. I don't want to see Arnold in a time machine. For the love of God, please, none of that. Just self-contained. That's what we want. Okay, no aliens appearing. Just self-contained. Just keep it like this. We like this. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. We appreciate every one of you who listen. Guys, you have no idea how much the support that you guys give us, all 5 of you. No, I'm just kidding. You have no idea the support that you guys give us. We appreciate it. We love hearing from you guys. We love seeing you guys listening to the show. If you are new to our show, you can find us on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, anywhere you get your podcast from. If you want to follow more of us, we are on every social media platform, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We are growing our bandwagon, and we want you to grow with us. But thank you guys for listening. We appreciate it. The Bandwagon Fan Podcast is hosted by Josh Jimenez, Alex Melgosa, and me, AJ Soy. Our show is produced by Kate Smith and edited by your boy, AJ. Our social media is managed by Natalia Kokulia,
And our theme song, Lush Waves, is provided to us by Taylor Lewin of _audio. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.